Hey guys, it's Maggie and I am back today, and I know you're looking at the title of this video like, oh boy, yeah. If I could go back a few years to when I was 12, if I had known that 29-year-old Maggie would be making a video on this for the world to see, I think that she would die. But I think it's important to talk about this because 12-year-old Maggie did not have anybody online to learn this information from, and if I can share it, awesome. But I'm going to be talking about Intimate Rose's new Rectal Dilators. It's a product that I really wish I had when I was younger. So I'm going to tell a little bit more about my experience with dilators in general, both vaginal dilators as well as rectal dilators, and why I had to use them, and kind of go a little bit further into that story while I show you their line of products, because they were very generous and sent me their line of products. I have the full range of vaginal dilators now. Although I use them myself, I purchased my own kit last year when I was in pelvic floor therapy. So yeah, I'm just gonna show you that stuff while I share a little bit more about my story. By the way, if any of you guys have been recommended by a pelvic floor therapist or a surgeon or whoever that you are in need of dilators, I do have a coupon code with Intimate Rose. It's LetsTalkIBD. You'll get $5 off of your purchase, and I do make a little bit of commission, so just want to be transparent there. But yeah, so oh my goodness, my first experience with dilators was not a good one. It was pretty bad. If you're unfamiliar with my medical history, I have something called Crohn's disease. It is a GI tract illness where my body basically does not recognize my intestines as their own, and it attacks them. It's an autoimmune illness. So I've had a lot of inflammation in my intestines. I've had a lot of scar tissue, and ultimately I wound up having to get surgery for it. But when we first kind of discovered my bad Crohn's disease, my bad rectal Crohn's disease, oh my gosh, I was very sick, I was very thin, and this was about when I was 12 years old. So I had a very narrow spot in my rectum, which made it extremely hard for me to go to the bathroom. That's actually how they figured out I had it, was I wound up in the ER with like contraction-like pain and nausea and inability to eat, and my stomach was rock hard, and I hadn't gone to the bathroom in a very long time. So it was a very rough time as a 12-year-old. I also had a lot of trouble with leakage. Yeah. That was probably one of the major things that just hit me mentally, because I was a preteen and I was so embarrassed all the time of this. I wore pads and stuff because I didn't know what else to do, and you know, it was just me and my dad. So that's kind of an awkward conversation to have with your dad. But I remember the morning where I just hit the tipping point, and I remember coming down 5:30 a.m., before school. I had just woken up and I was sobbing. My dad had gotten my Ensure drink ready to go because that's basically all I was able to consume, and the thought of drinking that, I thought I was gonna die. And I was having the leakage really bad that day, and I finally just said, Dad, something's wrong with me. And it was like my body finally just gave up, and I think within a couple of days from that point is when severe pain started to happen and I started to throw up. So I wound up in the ER. And oh my gosh, it was horrible. It took a while for them to discover, while I was in the hospital, what was actually going on, because I was in a lot of pain. They loaded me up with the pain meds, so it kind of masked the rectal pain that I was having. They did a lot of fun exams, exactly what you want as a 12-year-old. I had a lot of nurses and doctors putting their fingers up there to see if anything was wrong. And I don't know why it didn't clue off to them, because it was so small. My rectal area, my anus is so small. But it wasn't until about a week of being in the hospital and them trying to figure out what was going on that my surgeon, who I still love to this day, came into my room, did another rectal exam, and I screamed. And he said, okay, I know what the problem is. We're going to book her for the OR, and we're going to dilate the stricture that she has. And this is the first time we're hearing about a stricture. So that operation, it was not even an operation, it was a procedure. I was able to eat that night. It was the first meal that I had eaten in months, because I was just, barely able to eat little bites here and there. First time I went to the bathroom, like normally, it was very painful, but because he had opened up this stricture, it made all the difference in the world. The problem was that when I went home, I was expected to do rectal dilations. Awake, not in a surgery, not in an OR, just me on my bathroom floor. Oh my gosh. It was, I was not happy about it because I knew how much pain I was having. I knew how bad the stricture was because of how much trouble I had going to the bathroom. And I remember the appointment that I had to get set up on dilators. They set me up in a room with my dad, and my dad was always very respectful. Do you want me here? Do you want me outside? I usually wanted my dad with me in the room, even if he just like turned away towards the wall or something. He was totally fine doing that. But I remember going to my surgeon's office and them having me lay on the bed on my side, and they were trying to teach me how to do this procedure on myself. And they brought out these metal dilators, these cold metal dilators that scared me. They were huge. The ones that they wanted me to start on was far too, they were far too eager to get me on the larger sizes. My stricture was one that strictured up really fast. It would get narrow fast. So seeing these cold metal dilators, I was like, no. Nope. No way. No thank you. And you could tell that the nurse that was teaching me how to do it hadn't done it a whole lot with people. It was just, it made me so scared. And I remember getting the dilator in just like the tiniest amount because it was too large. There was only a few sizes for me to choose from. And they were trying to start me on their lowest, which their lowest was too big. And it was just, it made for a very traumatic experience for me. Like just that's how it was. And that kind of set the scene for the next few months, the next few years of dealing with this stricture. And I never really was able to have success with dilators because I was scared of them. I was afraid of them. And I look back thinking, man, if the products that were available today and like the resources that were available today were available back then, would I be where I am? Because now, unfortunately, what I'm going to show you is something that I can't use on myself because I have had my colon and rectum completely removed and my anus is now sewn shut. But I look back and I'm thinking, if I had had more online resources, had more educated nurses, and had dilators that were actually comfortable and usable and not scary and medical for a 12-year-old, could there have been potential that I could have kept that stricture open and maybe it could have healed a bit? Because there's just so many unknowns. I'll never know. But that is something that obviously is in the back of my mind. If I had done this, if I had done that, would I be where I am? So now I'm living with a permanent ileostomy bag, which is fine. And I am, thriving. I've had it for 13 years. And I'm doing great with it. But, there's just always the thought in the back of my mind, like, if things were different. So then, moving forward to not last May, the May before last, May 2021. Actually, no, it would have been February 2021 because I had to go see a pelvic floor therapist. After I had my colon and rectum removed, it affects your pelvic floor. People don't tell you that, but it really does. It has a major impact on it. And I learned that. I learned that through painful sex and just kind of having weird collective fluid in my pelvic floor. And I didn't really know what to do about it. I told my gynecologist and she said, you know what? Let's get you to a pelvic floor therapist. And I got to see that pelvic floor therapist and she was so helpful. She helped me work out my pelvic floor muscles and loosen the ones that needed to be loosened up a little bit and strengthen the ones that needed strengthening. But then she said, we should use dilators. And I was like, what? I've dealt with dilators. I'm good there. But she had a sample of the Intimate Rose dilators and I got to see them and hold them and feel them. And I was like, this is not what I remember dilators being. So I actually have the whole line here. I'm going to show you the pelvic floor dilators first. But I really want to show you the rectal dilators because Intimate Rose just came out with them. What a world of difference. Man, oh man, I wish I had them. Thankfully, I had the pelvic floor dilators, the vaginal dilators, when I was needing them as an adult, but the rectal dilators would have been awesome. So let me show you. I do have my ring light, so I'm going to try and avoid the circular ring. I just needed a little bit more brightness in this video. But they sent me their full line of their vaginal dilators. Let me hold these up. There you go. Oh, you can see the ring light. So these are the smaller sizes. I actually did not have these guys. I only had the larger kit. So I'm going to open these up so you can see them. And you can get an idea for what I'm talking about. Just the quality and the gentleness of them. And they're packaged so nice. Nice little box. Okay, so here are the dilators. This is the Vaginal Dilator Set. And the best thing is they go to a very small size, which is something I would have needed. I'm going to show you. They do the same thing for the rectal dilators. But they're this nice silicone, little bit flexible so they're comfortable when you insert them. These were so helpful in not only helping to work out my pelvic floor muscles, but just making it comfortable with something being in there. Because that is something that really impacted me. I didn't like that sex was painful. That's something that's important to my husband and I, and that sucked. Look at how nice this is. Nice and flexible, super soft. And they come in different colors, which just, I know that some might find that silly, but that would have been so comforting as a young person. Like, okay, this isn't necessarily a scary medical tool. This is something that I can work with, something that just makes me feel more comfortable. So these are the smaller set. This is sizes 1 through 4. So I did not have these because I wound up, my pelvic floor therapist said it was fine to go to the larger size. So I'll show you that real quick. All right, so this is the kit that I had, and my pelvic floor therapist had me start on the smallest one, and I did not make it to the biggest one, but I'm like on the blue one. But yes, same thing. They're very flexible, and they come in all different colors, so yeah. But I'll show you them a little closer up. I know that I've shown these on my channel before, but I just wanted to throw them in the beginning of this video before I get into the rectal dilators. Actually, before I move on, this is mine. This is the one that I purchased last year. They have a pelvic wand too, which I have found to be probably the most helpful tool for me because my side muscles in my pelvic floor were really tight, and this has helped me work them out myself. because my pelvic floor therapist was having to do that, and this wound up being super helpful. But something else they sent me, I am like so grateful to them. They sent me the dilator handle, and this is something that I think would be really useful, honestly, to a lot of patients. I think a lot of patients have discomfort having to dilate themselves. It's uncomfortable. It feels weird. It shouldn't, but it can feel weird. And this is something that can help give you a little bit of distance between you and your dilator. And for people that have trouble reaching, or people that, you know, have dexterity issues, this can be so helpful. So you've got this little end piece that goes on the end of the handle, and then this silicone wraps around it, and you can fit your dilator in there. And this is the actual handle, so you can screw this in like that. So what you do is you take the end of your dilator and you kind of push it underneath of the silicone. It's very stretchy. I just need my chest to help get this guy in there. You see what I'm doing? Yeah, Dixie's fur is all over this. So yeah, there we go. And that way you have a little bit more distance and you're able to move it around easier. How awesome is that? I know that some people are gonna watch this video and be like, why is she talking about this online? Seriously, if I had had this, not even just when I was younger and doing the rectal dilators, but even last year, because this was a whole new world to me. If anybody can be made to feel more comfortable, a lot of people use dilators and find them extremely helpful. So do not be ashamed in needing that. All right, now I gotta show you the rectal dilators. Like I said, they just came out with these guys, and I keep picturing my stupid metal wands. They were like dual-ended. One side was one size and the other side was another size. That's a tongue twister, isn't it? But these are all individual. The box got a little chonked up in the mail. But they come in a variety of sizes, and this is the smaller one. And if I had had this smallest dilator when I was 12 and they had presented this to me, it could have, I mean, even if life would have worked out the same way and I would have had to get rid of that stricture that I had, just to give me a little bit more comfort during that time, to have these. Like, I don't know. I feel like it could have made a huge difference. Look at how small this dilator is. This is their smallest rectal dilator. Do you see that? If a nurse had come up to me with this over a big metal rod, I think things could have been different. So, just goes to show you how we're coming along. Practitioners are listening to patients, or patients are getting involved in making products, and it's just changing the whole healthcare world. So yes, smallest dilator, but I'll show you some of the other sizes. Here's the small kit. Like, look at this. And I like the shape of it, because one issue that I had when I would do my dilations is that the dilator would slip out. I would have to insert the dilator and keep it in place, and the idea is that you put it all the way in. You have to keep it in place for a few minutes. Like, they would have me sit there for 5 minutes. And I would have to hold it. I feel like the shape of this will help hold it in a little bit better, and just make for a much more comfortable time. Plus the material, again, look at how flexible that is. It's not a rigid thing that's gonna be, you know, poking you in areas that do not need to be poked, that might be painful to you. This is gonna be a nice, gentle transition in there. And just the small sizes, I just love it. I know that there are some people out there that have no problems with this, and they're looking at these tiny dilators like, you can't fit that up there? No, I couldn't. Not at all. Like, it did not go in. So that's why I'm looking at the tiniest one. I'm like, that could have made it in. that could have done it. Okay, let me show you the larger set. Here's the outside of the box just so you can see it. And then the back of it, making health a priority. I love it. All right. So this is size 5 through 8. And you can see that they come in different colors from the Vaginal Dilators. I'll show you the largest size here just so you can get a feel for it. Sorry, I have to put my hand up because my camera's trying to focus on my face. Look at that. Nice and smooth. It's soft. And what they recommend is using a water-based lubricant on it. That's going to be the safest thing for it because you don't want to, you know, ruin the material of this. Here's another size. Very, very nice. So I wanted to share that. Rectal dilators are helpful for a variety of people, as are the vaginal dilators. People that have cancer, that have gone through radiation, people that have bowel diseases, such as myself. I mean, there's a whole array of gastrointestinal illnesses where both rectal and vaginal dilators could be helpful. There are people that have gone through trauma, people that have gone through, you know, not so nice experiences in life, and they're having to retrain their body and their mind. And this is helpful for both of that. There are people that deal with chronic constipation where these dilators are helpful. So if you've been under the instruction from a pelvic floor therapist or whoever to get dilators, I can't recommend Intimate Rose's dilators enough. I just wish I had them when I was younger. So I just want to show you the last thing that they sent me. They did send me their lubricant. It's called Velvet Rose. And when I saw the name of it, I was like, is it going to be scented? But it's not. It is not scented. It is, yeah, just a water-based lubricant that's safe on all of their devices that they have. And they have a bunch of other things on their website. They've got like Kegel weights and supplements and things like that. But I just really love the dilators, and I use them myself. I use the vaginal dilators. Clearly these days I'm not using any rectal dilators. Although I would like you to know that when they showed up in the mail, Zach did offer to try them out for us because, you know, he's still rocking the rectum. But I said, you know what, it's okay. I'd rather show them first. So he's helpful as usual. But yes, I really did want to share these because I'm hoping that, you know, if there's somebody out there that's questioning the use of starting rectal dilators, know that there are more options out there. There are not just the acrylic or the metal dilators available. There are much more comfortable versions like Intimate Rose's version. And I just wanted to make you aware of that and share a little bit about my story because, like I said, if 12-year-old Maggie could see 29-year-old Maggie talking about this, I think that she would be mortified, but she would also appreciate the information and be like, thank God somebody's talking about this, because nobody was talking about it online back then. Anyways, guys, you can use my coupon code LetsTalkIBD on their website for $5 off, and I do make commission, like I said before. It's definitely a product that's worth it, and checking out their website. So yes, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'm hoping that you don't feel alone in this because a lot of women, actually a lot of people in general, deal with these issues. So please do not feel alone. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next. Bye guys.